And we continue at 2:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
Will writes in at johnnydontlikeshow@gmail.com. Guys, we shouldn't get too angry about free surgeries for bums. Dental is included in the $100,000 handout. Have you seen the condition of the teeth of the average meth junkie's mouth? No? Me neither. There'll be plenty of cash left over for political pocket lining.
How would you like to be that dentist? I'd take a pass. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, most people live in California because they want some aspect of the California dream. Usually, that's not just being able to see the Hollywood sign and the Golden Gate Bridge. Usually, that also involves having a single-family home with a yard, a car, a pool, your own little slice of heaven. However, in Sacramento, that's not what the ruling Democratic majority wants. They want you to live in mixed-use housing near public transit so you can ride their murder trains to work. The leader of that effort is San Francisco Senator Scott Wiener, who now has legislation before the legislature that would do exactly that. There's opposition to this bill, as you can imagine, coming from all parts of the state, including, Randy, an unlikely place.
The city of Los Angeles, in an 8-5 vote, voted to symbolically oppose Scott Wiener's SB79 that has a hearing this week in the California Assembly. It's already passed the state Senate. They don't like this because it would take the power away from the city council in deciding who gets bribed for which project.
Because, of course, that's what's most important to them.
See, it's a story where you're not really sure which side to be on because you've got Scott Wiener on one side and you've got the LA City Council on the other side.
This is like Iran and Iraq going to war with one another. What do you do?
And not even all the DSAs are aligned on all this. Isabel says they're going to gentrify Boyle Heights.
God forbid if you bring people in with college degrees.
For more on the LA City Council's contentious vote and SB 79 as it looms large over the state's future, here's NBC4 and Conan Nolan in Los Angeles.
LA City leaders are taking on the state in a new battle over plans to create more housing.
Yeah, some state lawmakers say it will tackle California's housing crisis, but a majority of the LA City Council believes it would radically change neighborhoods and restrict local control of development.
NBC.
See, when I hear that, and I think for so many other cities in the state, that's a terrible idea, and the local electeds know what their city needs. There's something about this. I just love the idea of taking all zoning decisions away from the city council.
Well, for them, it's just a way to extract bribes. But in theory, you want city councils to be able to determine their own fate, because if you put a 6-story building on a street that doesn't have the parking or the sewage or the electrical grid to support it, then everything's going to fall apart.
NBC4's Conan Nolan live in our newsroom right now to break down this back and forth here. Conan.
This is a huge issue, and it has an impact not only on the housing crisis, but also on R1 residential neighborhoods. It has also split the Democratic Party, not only in the California legislature, but on city councils across the state. As some believe this is important, we have to do it. It's to build more housing because we have a housing shortage.
We've got to build 6-story towers near a bus stop because, of course, those people won't buy cars.
I love the fact that we need more housing. That's obvious. Everyone seems to understand that to some degree. But from the point of view of Sacramento, we'll only give you more housing if it's the kind of housing you tell us you don't want.
The kind of housing that's most in demand is like 3-bedroom starter homes, which, because it's so expensive to build in California, they don't get built. You either build these massive towers or you build 2 to 3-story mega mansions, but there's no money in building the housing that people want, and you have lawmakers actively looking for ways to demolish the existing housing stock of 2 to 3 bedroom starter homes, and that drives up the price even more.
Which is what causes people to move out of the state. Because guess what? You can get those types of homes in Arizona and Nevada.
Others say...
I had a friend who's looking on Zillow right now to move out to Phoenix. 2,000 square feet, 4-bedroom, pool, everything. It's like $400,000.
Oh, yeah. And if you go to some parts of the country, it's even cheaper than that.
Others say it will limit local control and could change the nature of neighborhoods forever. It is the subject of a fierce debate on social media.
Let's help kill SB79 before it kills our neighborhoods.
Yes, on SB79. Angelinos and our neighbors, we cannot afford another no.
I just heard a whole bunch of ads that they're not buying on this station. What the hell?
Give it time.
California's housing crisis has a new player. It's Senate Bill 79, and it's shaking things up.
Senate Bill 79 would allow for the development of high-density 6 to 7-story apartment buildings around major high-frequency transit hubs.
Which can be a bus that comes every 20 minutes.
If you think about it, in any city of any size, you could theoretically say it's close to some kind of public transportation. Whether it's exactly as you described, a bus or a train or a subway, everything is close to something.
Well, and in the few cities in this state where public transit actually makes sense, like San Francisco, they already have this. But L.A. ain't San Francisco.
Nope.
Think Metrolink commuter stations in the 5 counties of Southern California.
Even if L.A. Metro was safe, and it's not, a woman literally got murdered over the weekend on a Metro bus for trying to break up a fight between her boyfriend and some guy when she whipped out pepper spray and that guy whipped out a gun. But even if it was safe, this city is massive. This county is massive, and these trains don't go that fast. It would take you just as long to sit in traffic on the 405, which means no one's going to do it.
No. They just want high density, and they're using public transit as the excuse to get it.
Think Metrolink commuter stations in the 5 counties of Southern California, or Metro subway and above-ground stations in Los Angeles County. It's designed to help solve California's housing crisis while also supporting the use of public transportation.
By the way, and this is going back a million years, but if I recall correctly from political science school, the higher the density, the more likely you are to be a liberal. Because if you think about it, everything your neighbor does impacts you when you live in an apartment building, particularly if it's a high-rise apartment building. If someone next to you is a smoker, the smoke goes through the vents and goes into your apartment, and suddenly you want to regulate their ability to smoke at home. If someone has a gun and they start shooting at someone, bullets can fly through walls. So suddenly you regard that as being a threat to you. So you want to restrict your neighbor's ability to own a gun. But if you live in an area where you have land and there's a lot of space between you and your neighbor, you don't know what your neighbor's doing, and what your neighbor's doing doesn't impact you at all. So you don't care. So you're less likely to want to regulate them and tell them how to live their life. What Scott Wiener wants to do is not just change the way we live, he wants to fundamentally and permanently change the politics of this state.
Author State Senator Scott Wiener of San Francisco.
What we have seen is that there are a lot of rail stations, in particular in California, where you can't build multi-unit near them. So,
I mean, like all the non-existent rail stations in Fresno for the high-speed rail?
Oh, yeah. We have a train that doesn't exist. It's supposed to go up and down the whole state.
So some cities have zoned for density around transit. Some cities have not. And so this sets a baseline to ensure that we actually are allowing that to happen.
Hey, Senator Wiener.
That Garden Grove streetcar with the tattoo parlor at the station, they can upzone that to a 7-story tower.
Oh, great.
that to happen.
Hey, Senator Wiener, I got an idea. Let's add more density to the Palisades.
Wiener says, contrary to some on social media, the bill would not impact either the Palisades or the Altadena fire zones.
Well, that's because so many people in those zones were so outraged about this that they blasted Gavin on social media, said, oh, we're going to write an exemption for that. So he signed an executive order saying this shouldn't apply if it passes to burn areas.
I guess plan B is to let all the foreigners buy up all the land.
Well, that's the other thing that's happening.
But it has.
Also, who do you think right now can afford to develop and buy and build and operate these 7-story towers of subsidized affordable housing? It's going to be those giant private equity firms. It's too expensive for any mom and pop to get into the business right now.
Oh, yeah. I love the fact that Gavin's acting like he's going to make it perfectly fine for all of these homeowners to move back in, when in reality, they're all going to be forced to sell to one of Osama bin Laden's relatives.
Fun fact, California is in a housing crisis, but also 20% of the housing stock in California is owned by corporations, either in this country or out of this country. 20%.
But it has generated fierce opposition in areas it would impact.
Local control! Local control!
Are they saying local control or loco control?
Well, we all know which one it is.
Local control! Local control!
And has split Democrats, as was the case recently with the LA City Council. Councilwoman Tracy Park of West LA.
A one-size-fits-all mandate from Sacramento is not safe, and it's not responsible.
Progressive Isabel Jurado fears it will lead to gentrification.
This is what we got when we replaced Kevin De Leon. We got someone worse.
Well, and mind you, that it's in neighborhoods like Boyle Heights right now with all the eviction moratoriums and renter protections that have been passed by the LA City Council, has all of the owners of the rental control units in Los Angeles selling to the corporations where they can flip them into expensive gentrified condos. That is a direct result of things like not letting people kick bums out of their apartments when they're not paying the rent.
You know, Randy, it's almost as if they haven't thought this through.
And I'm not willing to gamble losing Boyle Heights.
Don't say vulnerable communities will be affected when you are stopping projects yourself.
Oh, yeah. Hugo likes SB79, so now I really don't like it.
Well, finding the exact wrong answer is due north for him.
Don't say vulnerable communities will be affected when you are stopping projects yourself.
But council members Hugo Soto Martinez and Nithya Raman argue that when it comes to increasing the housing supply in LA, there is little political will.
We talk a lot about our housing crisis on this body.
See, she's mad because the locals got all pissed off when Karen Bass signed that executive order that allowed for the destruction of a single-family home in Sherman Oaks to build a 7-story tower, and she couldn't handle the blowback, so she repealed it. And Nithya has been trying to find a way to get that back any way possible because Nithya hates homeowners.
Oh, she does. Remember when they had that great big fight over the district lines that resulted in Gil Cedillo and Kevin De Leon getting in all that trouble? Well, what they didn't want to do was give her a bunch of renters, because if you gave her renters and not homeowners, she would never lose an election because those are the only people she cares about.
When you're like me and you're subscribed to every channel of every politician and every organization, you're subscribed to things like the DSLLA, you get things in your algorithm like a whole bunch of videos from people that think that they're city planners that want to tell you the original sin of Southern California is urban sprawl and it's responsible for everything that you don't like.
But our actions have not met the moment, and that's why Sacramento keeps intervening.
The council voted 8-5 to oppose the legislation, but it's not up to them. It's up to the council.
Oh, yeah. See, the whole thing, there was this big, lively debate, but it means nothing.
Well, they're very good at that, taking symbolic votes on whatever's going on in Gaza or some other place that's not Los Angeles.
Do you think Scott Wiener or any member of the assembly cares what the LA City Council voted on this bill?
Not one iota.
to the California State Legislature. The measure passed out of the state Senate by one vote. It will be heard in committee later on this next week, and possibly there will be a floor vote on the state assembly early next month. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
So that's the latest as Scott Wiener's SB79 works its way through the legislature. If it passes and Gavin Newsom signs it into law, anywhere that is a quarter mile from a transit hub can be demolished and turned into a 6 to 7 story apartment building.
And the locals will have no ability to block it. Now it's your opportunity to weigh in at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, with the end of the show quickly approaching, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. Could be the Apple Podcast app, could be Spotify, could be iHeart, could be some app I've never heard of. Search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe. You could download all the episodes. You could do what George Gascon likes to do to himself in the middle of the night.
Do a Google on YouTube.
Boy, it's been 8 months. He hasn't said a peep. I think he's actually done. You can get the KABC app and listen live to KABC in Southern California. You can get the KSFO app and listen live to KSFO in Northern California. You can get the KMJ Now app and listen to us on Saturdays at 2 in the Central Valley on KMJ. There are so many different ways to listen to this show, to listen to our podcasts, and listen to them whenever you want. Whether you want a show to go to bed at night with, a show to wake up in the morning with while you get your morning donut.
Okay, you got glare on and you still have donut hole.
So Scott Wiener is pushing SB79. This would allow developers to put up high-rises, 6, 7 stories, anywhere that's near a transportation hub, which could be as something as innocuous as a bus station. And what this is social engineering. This is the economic version of school busing. This is about equity. They do not want you to have a car. They do not want you to have a yard. They do not want you to have a pool. They want to put you in a big building, and I'm sure they'll require that there are a certain number of Section 8 and Section whatever, fill in the blank, all throughout your building. So all of the chaos that's going on all around you will also go on at your home. That to them is equality. That is equity. And they're going to force it everywhere. So if you live in Newport Beach and you have a city that functions, you're going to take the ability to make decisions away from that council, and you're going to say, no, we need to bring the chaos to your town too. Huntington Beach? Oh, you function. Let's go ahead and turn you into the city of Los Angeles. Because to them, equity is not, let's find out what's working and who's doing it right and copy them. Equity is looking at who's created the biggest dumpster fire and forcing everyone to have that same dumpster fire in their town. And that is equality. That is equity to them. And that's what they want to do with this bill. It infuriates them that Huntington Beach functions and Newport Beach functions. So what do they want to do in the name of equity? They want to break those towns too. What say you at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222? Do you want high-density housing shoved down your throat in all cities in the state of California? This, to me, is an awful idea. What say you at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222, 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Sacramento wants central planning of the USSR variety to come to California, where they get to decide if a 6 or 7 story high-rise goes into your community without your city council being able to veto it. The city of Los Angeles, oddly enough, opposes it, but not for ideological reasons. They just want their ability to preserve their ability to extract bribes from developers. Many of you, I know, oppose this. You do not want your city, you do not want your town that might function perfectly fine to turn into a basket case like Los Angeles. What say you at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Fran in Studio City. Fran, hello.
Hey, love you guys. So this has been lurking for a while, SB79, and we have done all kinds of letters and, phone calls, and I do not feel that it can be defeated. As a result, we just met with a real estate agent, and we are putting our house of 45 years on the market, and we're buying a house in Florida, the free state of Florida.
And when you talk to your neighbors, when you talk to people who are furious over this, do they fear that they're going to end up doing the same thing too?
Yes. Yeah. They're, the ones that are sort of aware of what's going on, absolutely. And we did all kinds of letter campaigns, emails, phone calls, going to meetings to stop it, but it's going to happen, and it's already happening in areas of Valley Village. They're already doing this, so I do not believe there's any stopping it. And
okay.
It's just we just want to get the money out of our house before it's worth nothing.
As someone who's seen this with their own two eyes, can you explain to people that if you put high-density housing like this in a single-family neighborhood, that people don't miraculously all start riding the bus? Can you explain what happened to the parking situation the moment they started doing this?
I've gone on Nextdoor and said things like they're not doing anything to upgrade the infrastructure, none of that. They are not doing anything. They're putting up buildings that have no parking because they believe everybody's going to use the bus. And there are always people. I live in Studio City, so there are always people on Nextdoor that say, "This is the best thing that's ever happened. We need housing. We have to care about the homeless and all of that." But for the most part, which I'm very surprised at, people are just ticked off, and they understand what's going on, and they're going to do the same thing we're doing. They're chasing people like us, tax-paying citizens, out of L.A., and maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe they just don't like us. I don't feel loved. I certainly don't feel safe. And we've been fighting it for a long time. I actually called into you a while ago, and we talked about, where could we go? I think you guys asked me where we would move. And, it's not ideal, but we have relatives on the East Coast, and we just spent time in Florida. We found a great house, and we're done. We are, and also the numbers, of course, financially, everything works in our favor in Florida, with the exception maybe of the property tax. But there's no state income tax. The governor, sales tax is lower, right? The governor, what made us really just finally decide. We were in Florida, and we stayed at this, it's an over 55 community that's like a 4-star resort. And we stayed in this place for overnight or 2 nights. And the next morning, the governor was on TV, and DeSantis. And he did this speech about how every year he's reduced the debt and how they're, reducing the debt of the budget. And how they are doing more things for the tax. He made a point of saying the tax-paying citizens, and we listened to him. I was in a trance almost because we listened to him for probably 20-25 minutes, and when he finished, I looked at my husband and I said, we understood everything he said. He spoke plainly, clearly. He did not denigrate California. He didn't denigrate, blue states. He didn't do any of that. He didn't have to. He knows what he has there. And then just coincidentally, Newsom was on, and we listen to him, and it's the same thing every time. He finishes speaking, and we look at each other, and we're both college educated. I mean, we're not idiots. And we look at each other and say, what did he say? We can't even figure out what he says. Yeah. It's sad.
My guess is he used the word mindful a whole lot.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, I shouldn't use Jesus. But I have to say that we will never give you up, though. We will listen to you wherever we go.
Well, that's the most important thing.
In Florida. Well, it is, because you guys are great and you're entertaining, and I don't know, maybe we could induce you to move to the free state of Florida. But
I'm looking at New Mexico.
Well, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the kind words. I'll tell you, Key West is one of my favorite places on planet Earth.
There you go.
I don't know if I could live there full time, though. Let's go to Patrick on the 91 freeway. Patrick, hello.
Hey, John. Hey, Randy. Your preamble kind of covered everything I say. It's central planning. It's a communist Russian-style governance. It's lowering. There's no place to park. I mean, you're hitting all the highlights. There's no upside to this. And we have a huge state. There's no excuse for, we should build out and keep building out, and that's what people want. And if you want the American dream, I don't think it's living next door to a 6-story apartment that parks in your driveway when you're not looking. It's I grew up in Huntington Beach. Beautiful little town, beach town. Can't go wrong. I mean, it's changed, but it's still a good town. I don't subscribe to any of the socialist ideas for the future. It's dystopian. It's going to be dystopian. That's all I can say.
No, and what they want to do is they want to wreck Huntington Beach. They can't fix L.A. or Oakland, but they can wreck Huntington Beach and Newport Beach and Dana Point and every place in the state of California that's working. That they can do. So that's what they want to do.
Why?
If I could understand the way they think, believe me, I'd be a richer man.
I can't understand the people that think the way they think. You think? I don't know. Anyway, you guys have a great day. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the call, sir. Let's go to Bobby in Dana Point. Bobby, hello.
Hello. I just want to reinforce what you were saying about how great it is to live in Huntington or Dana Point. I was born in L.A. in the 60s, grew up in Huntington. Now I live in Dana Point. And one of the observations that I'll add to this is that higher density is going to change the vote. I'll bet that there's an underlying toe to get the Trump density cities to dilute those down into blue areas. It's all about voting.
Oh, I think that's a huge part of it. And they know that. And if they start throwing Section 8 people and people with all kinds of chaos going on in their lives in buildings with people like you and me, that we're just going to cry uncle and we're going to move out. And you're going to end up changing the character, changing the politics, changing everything about these cities.
One more city to add to Huntington, Newport, and Dana Point is Temecula. I don't know if you know that area very well, but all the empty industrial area, they've converted into 10,000 apartments.
Yeah. No, I'm sure they have their eyes on Temecula, too, and all points in between. Thank you for the call, sir. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Thomas in Lakeport. Thomas, hello.
Hey, hello. Listen, I'll make this brief. These multiple unit places they want to build. Are you there?
I'm here.
Are you
until 3?
You still there? These multiple unit places they want to build. There's no water meters. They have power meters, but no water meters. You pay a flat fee for water and garbage, and that's it. We're trying to conserve water in California. We don't have a lot of water, and here they're just giving it away to these people. Granny down the hall is going to use a couple hundred gallons a month, and some guy that gives his kid a bath every night, 5 of his kids, and runs up a big water bill. This is just doesn't make any sense. And the lady that says, "Oh, we're going to move to Florida," who in the hell wants to move to Florida? You got hurricanes, you got tornadoes, hurricanes, and stuff. We have to stay here and fight. We have to fight this as best we can. Just moving, throwing up our hands and moving is just not the answer. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's go to Johnny in my hometown of Garden Grove. Johnny, hello.
Yeah, the last call was right on. We have to stay, we have to fight. But Newsom, you're a clown, Newsom. And I hope 50, 30 million people are listening to my words right now. Okay, Newsom, do what you got to do and put some more gel in your hair, okay? Hello?
Yeah, you're still on.
I was just imagining our ad rates if we had 30 million listeners.
Yeah, you still there?
We're here until 3.
Okay. That's a good joke. Okay, so I'm just saying this. I'm saying that the affordability of a house, it only works one way. You have to find a good-paying job when you come into Southern California, John. You got a good-paying job. You work in radio. I had a good-paying job. I was a longshoreman, okay? But the thing is, though, the attainable things that are necessary make it easier for people in this state to own their own home, to get a good car loan, to get good medical care. It doesn't work that way, John. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the deck is stacked against you. The deck is stacked against you every way you look at it. Let's just say you are able to scrape together the money to put down on a home. Well, you're going to need someone to insure you, which is a problem. You're going to need to pay the property taxes, which is a problem. Every other tax on planet Earth seems to be going only one way, and that is up. They find a way to regulate you out of existence. I don't know how they keep any young people here. If you're starting a family, I get people like us, people who are established, and we've been here a while, and I understand that. But if you're graduating from college right now or graduating from high school, and you want to have a couple of kids, I don't know, absent your parents spotting you money or an inheritance or whatever the case may be, I don't know how you put a down payment on a house. Maybe you just save up until you're in your 30s or 40s, and then you have the money to put down. But it is a very expensive place to live, and everything that we're doing is making it more expensive, not less expensive. And I think that's by design.
Okay, but it's by design because the one with the golden ruler controls the ruler, okay? But that's not the way civilization should go. Civilization is about every human being having the dignity to enjoy all these great things that his creator made for us, okay? But I don't see it, John.
No. And people, by the way, don't want to live in high-rise buildings. People in Manhattan do. People in Philadelphia do. People in Toronto do. People in California don't. People aspire to live on the beach or in the hills. That's where people want to live. And until they understand that, until they understand what the consumers desire, then they're going to continue to try to shove things like this down our throat. But ultimately, what they're doing is they are giving people what they do not want, and they're charging us a fortune to do it. And that's part of the reason why we're losing our population. That's part of the reason why people are leaving for places like Florida, Arizona, Nevada, and all the other spots. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Mark in Sonoma. Mark, hello.
Hey, how are you guys doing? Love your show.
Thank you.
So like talking about high-density housing. So they tried some projects in my town where they built these tiny homes for Section 8 people. Well, they did, but the problem is they can't get them out of there. They give them a limited amount of time to get on their feet or try to get themselves together, and then they just squat. And what happened is the whole area just goes to absolute crap. Nobody wants to go to the restaurants around that area. Nobody wants to shop. They all stay away. The people are super aggressive, and they're just building more of these, and it's just such a problem. And the residents of Sonoma are just absolute suckers for falling into the trap. You know, they all are just a bunch of bleeding hearts, and they want to try to save the world, but not in my lawn. Don't come to my house. So it's a massive problem, and it's actually gotten comical at this point to see how it is just absolutely turned around and backfired. So, but I love the show. California's a mess. Gavin Newsom's an absolute joke. And the problem is, you guys, is that nobody votes. You know, there's such a small percentage of people that vote, and that's a problem too. Is nobody wants to go out and vote. Nobody wants to grab it by the horns and do the right thing. Everybody just wants to sit back, and it's California, man. They can get it for free.
There's a lot of truth to what you just said. Thank you so much for the call, sir. That's going to do it for us today, but we'll be back tomorrow at noon for another edition of The John Phillips Show.